Hey, so I just wanted to share an experience that I'm having with raw food. So, um, pretty much I've been on a raw food diet about 5 times, maybe more. It's been quite a journey. I keep coming back to it for various reasons. I've done cleanses. When you do a cleanse, a serious cleanse, like say a Dr. Scholl's incurable cleanse, which was back in the day, Bashar would only ever really recommend the same. He gave the same advice for people who were struggling with health problems, and it was always just to do a really serious cleanse to clean your body out and to rehydrate. I mean, lots of things, but the cleanse, and it's like every time you do a serious cleanse, or anytime I have done a serious cleanse, it's always like a juice fast, like a 30-day. You can eat during it, but I mean, it is certainly 100% raw, and 100% vegan as well. And so, yeah, like I said, I've touched on raw food for many times. I did it a few years ago, and then I lost some weight, and I wasn't happy with that. But then I did it again about, yeah, probably another 6 months after that, because I was off on my journey traveling, and I was doing really well. And then I took a little side path for what it's worth. And I know it's been my experience that when you eat 100% raw food diet, it's like, it's very powerful as far as awakening something in you. It helps you to, like, with clarity and energy and just like body, everything. It's a healing diet. Hence why when you do these cleanses and stuff like that, it's 100% raw food. And so, and I did this. So that was down in Mexico, but I didn't refeed properly, and I experienced something called refeeding syndrome, and that was really horrible. It's something that you have to be careful with when you do certain diets and stuff like that. You can't just gorge and whatever, right? You have to come off of fasting as well as diets properly. You have to, yeah. And so, yeah, that was one thing. So once again, but it didn't work that time. I really shot myself in the foot with the whole thing, but it was an experience that I got to reflect upon. So really, I didn't lose anything. But yeah, that was quite a thing. And it has to do with like shocking your system, and then like how your cells store things. Anyways, you can Google it yourself. Anyways, the point is, and then I came back to Canada, and I'm taking yoga seriously, wanting to be a yoga teacher, but then I started having pains in my knees and stuff like that, and it's like, what am I doing wrong? Trying to figure it out, because my body is breaking down. I don't know how else to put it into words. It was just no, like, it wouldn't really matter. Like, you'd think you practice lots of yoga, you eat a whole food plant-based diet, you spend time meditating, so being calm and relaxed, you'd think, you get lots of sun, exercise, all that stuff would add up to health. But for myself, I was just wearing myself down. It got to the point where I would have to cut back on the yoga that I was doing. I would have to cut back on, I practice calisthenics at the gym as well. And it's like, okay, I gotta just do away with that, because I need to focus on my yoga. And it's like, so it's like I'm doing all these things right, but there's something I was doing wrong. And then say like just before, so I was taking all these supplements and things like that, and certainly supplementing with protein. I mean, I learned that lesson, that the body needs protein. And so, I've been on this journey with food and stuff like that. And then last winter, I got on a raw food diet, but it was more like a paleo diet, like a vegan paleo diet, cutting out grains and things like that. But then it was like winter here in Canada, eating just salads and stuff like that. With where I was at, the diet that I had, it wasn't working for me. So I started eating beans and rice and that kind of stuff again, and quinoa and tubers and steamed vegetables and yada yada. And I got through the winter and it was great. Sort of, right? Because towards the end of the winter and whatnot, I mean, coming into spring, and I did go to Mexico for a very brief period of time. I went there for a week or no, a couple weeks, and I went on a huge run, and it was honestly a little bit taxing for me. It was hard on my knees, so it was like, I was still experiencing not healing properly. And so this is frustrating for me because I feel like I've been on the cusp of health and not sickness, but not wellness, right? For quite some time. And I go back and forth and don't know what's going on, right? So anyways, I mean, so over the winter time, I ate all of these things, and my body just continued to, for what it's worth, deteriorate, to the point where I had to cut calisthenics completely out, because now I'm actually signed up to become a yoga teacher, and I'm going to New York in June for my teacher training. So it's like I had to cut calisthenics completely out because I was having pain in my elbow, and I was having pain in my shoulder, and I was having pain in my knees, and I just wasn't healing, just all over wasn't healing. And it's really frustrating because, like I said, I eat a pretty squeaky clean diet. I take a number of supplements, all natural plant-based things, but it just wasn't enough. There was something that I'm missing, and it's funny because I eat such a variety of things. It's like so that I don't miss anything, but there was just still something I was doing wrong. And so I even had to cut back on my yoga practice. It's like, because I used to do yoga 5 days a week. I used to do it 6 days a week, and then it just got to less and less, and then down to 3 days a week. And then even, that was getting to be a bit much. It's like I would have to do 3 days of like really intense yoga, and then the next week I would do something else which is more orientated towards my course, like do practice, like learn new things, ashtanga and things, but not quite so much the flows that I have developed and that I practice as my sort of my mainstay. And so so that's scary though, because I've invested many years in practicing yoga. I've invested thousands of dollars. Like, this course is very expensive. All of the books that I've had to buy, very expensive. Not very expensive, but the course, very expensive, especially in Canadian, like $5-6 grand. And then to fly there is like another $1,000. And then a hotel in New York, downtown New York by the Empire State Building, another like $1,000 for that time. So it's like, and all the years that I've been practicing this stuff and like reading about it and wrapping my mind around yoga and it being a branch of Hinduism and whatnot. So it's like it's like I got a lot invested in this, right? And so to be experiencing pain in my body, to have my body not healing, to be suffering, and then also because of work, and then my hip was sore, and I was like not freaking out, right? But it's like, okay, I'm sure this will pass, right? But so what happened was I ended up having a couple of days off. And so and it was leading up to a weekend. It's like, okay, I'm gonna have like 5 days off in a row here. I thought, okay, fasting. I know that fasting is another healing protocol. So raw food is one of the keys to health. Fasting is another one of these keys. Although in yoga they say that yoga is not for he who eats too little, or he who eats too much, or she. It's about balance, right? And fasting for certain periods of time, some of the time, absolutely, and like intermittent fasting, absolutely, but prolonged fasting, for days, whatnot, with only water, that's yeah, I mean, challenging. But for myself, because of this path that I'm on, is like I will do whatever it takes. I'll do whatever I need to do in order to heal my body so that I can pursue this new path, this career as a yoga teacher. Because like I think to be a yoga teacher, you need to be the spitting image of health. You need to be, people need to say, wow, this person is radiating health. This person is vibrant. This person is, yeah, they are, I don't know what they're doing, but I want a piece of that, right? That's like your who you are is attractive because you are healthy, because you've healed yourself, because you've come a certain distance, right, with your understanding and all that kind of stuff, and because you're good at doing yoga and whatnot. Another thing too is that I am hyper. So when I was young, they gave me the diagnosis of hyperactivity, ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. I don't agree with that, right? It's attention different, hyperactivity, awesomeness, gift, right? I mean, but it's not, I'm not hyperactive. I mean, I used to be unbalanced. I used to get really excited and depressed and stuff like that. But because of yoga and meditation, I now am very balanced. And but anyways, the point is the hyper piece. So I am hyper. I just think in general, I am hyper enthusiastic. I am hyper energetic. I am, like, I do have a lot of energy, but I balance it, right? I don't make an expression or a show of it, right? I've learned to work with it. I'm hyper sensitive. I am. My body is hypersensitive. I cannot eat things that have MSG in them, that have stabilizers, that have additives, things like that. I will get a rash. It breaks out. When I eat potato chips and stuff like that, it makes my skin crawl. Like, my body does not like being poisoned. I'm not allergic to anything on God's green earth, but I tell you, if I put poison in my body, it lets me know very, very, very quickly. And I've dealt with this with a number of substances. And I'm talking about gluten. I went through a time where I was hypersensitive with that, and I was unable to ingest gluten. Like, even trace amounts would give me a variety of symptoms and whatnot. So I'm hyper all of these things. I'm hyper flexible. There's certain tests that you can do, and I'm all of them. I have hyper flexibility, and that's why I love to stretch and stuff like that. And also, there's something I was reading an article about this person talking about their own hyperflexibility, and saying how it's like they need to move. I wish I could see it because it's on my phone, but I'm filming this, and it's like the less I move, the more pain I experience. It's like I have to be doing yoga. It's not even an option to not. It is a part of my life, and because if I don't, the result is pain, physical pain that results in other things, right? Because it's emotionally disturbing, and then that disturbs my mental state as well, and all this kind of stuff. So it's like I'm hyper, all of these things, hyper, I don't know, I'm very cautious about saying hyper intelligent, but I know that I'm an intelligent person, and I do really appreciate intelligence. But yeah, I not a, just like to be careful with saying things like that, right? Because I made a video about what smart is, and I believe that smartness is something that is cultivated. It's to do with education. It's to do with how you spend your time. But of course, some of us have a predisposition towards studying and reading books and doing research and going inside and learning about the mind and all of this kind of stuff, and going out in the world and visiting countries and just expanding your awareness and whatnot. So all this kind of stuff, and so I'm dealing with this. Like I said, I was to this point where my body's breaking down, and it's like, I don't know what to do. I figured I would do a fast. And so this day, I get up in the morning and I have like bananas and berries and coconut yogurt and walnuts for breakfast very often. This is one of my favorite meals. At the moment, it's what is available, and it's super easy, and I really like it. And so I eat this. And so I eat a raw vegan diet a lot of the time. And then for lunch, I mean, sometimes I skip lunch or whatever, or vice versa. I might eat the banana thing, or mangoes. I ate a whole pile of mangoes here just a little bit ago. Yeah, so like I eat mostly raw, but then I went to this place that has local organic produce here in Chilliwack, where I live in Canada, British Columbia. And I hadn't been there for a while because they didn't have a lot of stuff, but I went there and they had this butter lettuce, and it is gorgeous. It's this big, right? Like 15 inches of butter lettuce. So because I hadn't had good lettuce for a while, I made a big salad and I ate it. And then I said, okay, that's a good, finish for my, a good start to, it's like, okay, I'm going to fast for the next 4 days or whatever, and then refeed on the 5th and whatnot. And, I woke up the next morning pain-free. And I can't even just what that means to wake up pain-free. Like all of the pain that I've been going through, I lost my grip strength, right? And so I couldn't do pull-ups. I couldn't do them because my elbow was sore, and every time I would go to do them, I would still be sore, and my shoulder from doing one of these, it's like where you have your hands clasped behind and it would hurt. Like just doing yoga was breaking me down, and doing calisthenics was breaking me down, and like going for runs no matter what I did, I couldn't even ride my bike because it would hurt my knees. And it's like, I could tell that it would be in my best interest to be easy on myself as opposed to just going ahead and trying to push through something. And so I woke up pain-free, and I couldn't, it's not something that I could ignore, because I've been, for what it's worth, fighting this knee injury for over a year and not making a lot of headway, some here and there, but not fully recovered. And like I said, pain in other places, losing grip strength, pain in all this stuff. So I had to I had to stop doing all the things that are the most important to me. And to me, for myself as a yogi, calisthenics is important. I need to, because I'm hyper flexible, I need to counteract that with building muscle around my body, right? around my knees and everything. It's important so that when I'm in certain positions, of course, alignments are super important as well, but it's also very important to, at least for the kind of yoga that I practice, to build muscle so that I have strong legs, so that when I'm doing stuff, I'm not putting strain on myself, and I don't get fatigued, so that at the end of a practice, I feel rejuvenated, recharged, replenished, not gassed, exhausted, in pain, not limping away, but, not feeling awesome. And because that's the idea. Yeah. Is to not to be gassed, not to be exhausted, right? And so at that point, which is about 5 days ago, for what it's worth, I said, okay, 100% raw food, because it's like, this isn't something that I just want to work. This is something that I need to work. It's not even in the same category of like, oh, hey, here's this diet, let's try this out, see if I like it or not. It's like, I need to be pain-free so that I can perform immediately, because I have a lot of work to do. And I have some things coming up that it is very important that I am in the right place, in the right space. And even just for other aspects of it, because I sit there and I read, and I need to be able to not be in pain, or else it's distracting when I'm digging into material which is heavy, right? I need to be functioning properly. I need to be operating at 100%, or at least very close to it. And so, like I said, I ate like basically I was fasting in the morning, and then eating this banana thing for lunch, and then having a protein shake, which is organic, raw, and vegan. It's like Garden of Life or something like that, to make sure that I'm getting my protein, right? Protein. And having enough of it too, probably, I think it's like 2 scoops, so like 40 grams of protein, so enough protein, and then with the fruit, and then with a big huge salad. And over the course of these days, I've noticed an increase in energy. I've started going to the gym again and working out, and have no pain in my shoulder, arms. I'm able to practice calisthenics again, and I'm getting stronger. I was very sore because I hadn't done it. Like the next day I was quite sore because I haven't been working out regularly. And I do a routine where it's like I do a bunch of push-ups, a bunch of headstand push-ups, a bunch of dips, a bunch of like vertical rows, like that, and then like lunges and stuff like that with weights, holding on to like 40-pound weights in each hand, like strengthening the legs, so all over. And I was really sore the next day, but I recovered from it pretty quickly, and it didn't affect my yoga practice, where it's like that. It was one of the frustrating things, is that at first I was doing calisthenics and I was getting stronger, but then I had to stop because I had to choose between having enough strength to perform certain yoga poses. I noticed it's like, if I did calisthenics before my practice, I wouldn't have the strength to do certain things. It's like, it's a wheel where you put your arms on the ground, and then, I can show you for what it's worth. It is this thing like this, where you then put your head down, and then like this, and then lift your feet up in the air, right? I don't know how much of this, I don't know how much of that you can see, right? But that is the one, and it's like I wouldn't have the strength doing a wheel pose, chakrasana, I wouldn't have the strength to lift the one leg in the air, so that my just being supported by on my forearms by my one leg. So I was like getting weaker and weaker and weaker and weaker, and on Monday, it's Thursday today, so I guess, yeah, I've been doing this for a little bit now. Maybe it's been longer than 5 days, but I've started my regular routine again and working out, and I have no pain, no fatigue, and no pain. I mean, I don't know if I said that twice, but I mean, it's just huge, right? From eating a raw food diet, not from this, not from these supplements, right? Which is a part of it, right? I mean, that's just supposed to enhance, that's supposed to enhance it, like my diet and things like that. I mean, it's just things like spirulina and mushrooms and like different things, resveratrol. I mean, if that's supposed to just augment it, it's supposed to add, but it's not, I'm not relying on those things for my health. But I tell you, it's just been an absolute game changer. And so I was going to make this video and I was going to call it the Holy Grail of diet. But I don't like to make misleading titles or clickbait, and so I didn't feel like that was the right thing to say. It's more like raw food is a key. It's like if you are suffering, if you're sick, if you're in pain, it's raw food. For the understanding that I am developing as a result of this stuff is that if you are sick, raw food, don't even screw around. Raw food. What is it? The body, when you eat cooked food, the body there is a symptom of eating raw cooked food. It's called leukocytosis. Leuko is like your blood, cytoplasm. So we're talking white blood cells. When you eat cooked food, your body releases white blood cells to combat what you put in it, because it recognizes what you've put in it as something, as an intruder that it needs to, compensate for it. It needs to deal with that, right? And so that's I'm not saying this is 100% correct. This is where I'm going with it in my own mind, is that is, you're entering fight or flight mode. When you eat this stuff, it's like, if you want, and I would say everybody's different. As much as I've struggled with that before, because it's like, at the end of the day, all animals, it's like, what other animals does it matter what they eat? Cats eat cat food, dogs eat dog food, lions, tigers, bears, whatever, it's not an individual thing, but we're humans, and I guess some of us are this is where like the yoga philosophy comes in. It's like, because there's this thing to do with tamastic and rajasic and sattvic diets, right? Some people are, say like myself, yeah, I'm a bit of an intellectual. And I'm into all of this spirituality and psychology and stuff. And so it's important for me to eat a very clean diet and stuff like that. And it's just my, what I involve myself in is what I'm drawn to naturally. It's, but some people are into other things, and they seem, I guess it's appropriate for them to eat diets that are appropriate to their particular disposition. And not everybody's on this crazy spiritual thing. Some people are more about other things, right? And one's not better than another. I think, what do you say? life would be boring if we're all the same. I mean, it's supposed to be diverse. And so, yeah, I don't know what I was saying. I don't know. I mean, all I was saying was just that it's been an absolute game changer for me to have found something that is working for me. Thankfully, I have a number of raw food books. I looked up a recipe today for a raw vegan carrot cake. It takes 30 minutes to make, and it has like a cream cheese, but it's like a cashew based cream cheese icing. I mean, it looks absolutely delicious. I think I might make it today, because the thing is with any diet, you need to have variety. If you just eat the same things, and if they're not even that good, if you're just kind of winging it, you might get sick of stuff. And I can only eat so many salads and this and that without expanding my repertoire of salad dressings and ingredients and how to make these salads, to have a lot of variety so that it's fun and enjoyable and not something that's repetitive. And it's like, oh, okay, I'm going to make this and you're going to choke it down. I mean, there's no way to eat. And so for myself, I don't think that this means 100% raw food forever. Right now, I'm doing this for the time being, at least for another 3 days. So that'll probably be maybe like 10 days in total. And I think it might be possible to have a balance of like, say, as long as the balance is in favor of the raw food. So like, say 3 days of raw food, 2 days of cooked food in a cycle like that, so that you can enjoy both worlds, but it's certainly geared towards more of what your body actually wants. Yeah. And so, yeah, I just think that, because that's the thing that's important, is just that it's like, so with diet, if you think about what a diet is, it's kind of like a box. They talk about, so like you get into this box, like I eat a vegan diet. I mean, there's a lot of things that I can't eat, or not can't, that I choose not to eat because they have things in it that I don't agree with where they came from. And so you could look at that as a box. And you talk about a raw food diet, all of a sudden there's all these things that are not on the menu anymore, which on the one hand is good, because all of a sudden I'm not, like, because of where I'm at with my health and with my pursuits in life, with this yoga and stuff like that, it's like, it's not even an option to cheat on this diet, to go and buy a bag of chips. Another thing too was, like, when I was winding this down, so like, it took a few days to become 100% raw, because I still had certain things in my kitchen. I had a big old spaghetti squash and I ate it and it was okay. But so then got that out of the way. But I was planning a guacamole one night. And so the plan was to eat that with tortilla chips, organic tortilla chips. And I did. And the second I started eating the cooked food, the pain came back. And so that was, for myself, very a powerful moment. I won't say conclusive evidence is what I wanted to say, but it was a powerful moment. It's like, okay, this raw food, there's something about this. I need to follow this. I need to keep going with it. Because, yeah, like I said, I've been struggling with pain despite everything that I do for a while, and it's just too important to me now to not be in pain. And so that was a thing. And then another thing that this illuminated for me, is that I was, as a part of my diet, say over the winter time, I found coconut yogurt, which is awesome. And I've also started drinking like a milk. Like at first it was oat milk, but then I found that when I ate oats themselves, I tried overnight oats. I was like, oh wow, this is a great place to get protein and stuff like that. So I tried that. It did not sit with me at all. It gave me all kinds of unhappy belly. And so I said, oh, okay, I'm not going to do that anymore. I gave it a try. No, thank you. And so then I got off the oat milk and I thought, okay, soy milk. But then, of course, going on to a raw food diet, the soy is cooked because it's soybeans. They are cooked, and so therefore it's not an appropriate thing to have on a raw food diet. I don't know what milks are, maybe almond or no, I'm sure there are, because I can make it myself with just like cashew butter or cashews themselves in a high-speed blender. So, if that is something that you want. But I tell you, another symptom that I was suffering from was dryness. And it was frustrating to me because it's like, I really watch my water. I have a water station inside my house. Like, I have my water jug, I have my water pitcher, I have, and like water bottles. Like, I'm very conscious of my water intake, making sure that water is the first thing that I drink in the morning so that it gives my body an opportunity to flush. But yet I was having this dryness on my knuckles, of all places, like on my knuckles and on this knuckle too. And there was this big dry spot, and my knees were dry and my lips were dry. And it's like something is drying me out. I could use a drink of water. Oh, I always wish these videos could be like 10 minutes long, but it is what it is, or less. And so I was like, I'm drying out. It's like my skin is dry, my mouth is dry, I'm drinking water. What am I doing wrong, right? But a part of my nightly thing was like, I would have a glass of soy milk, which has protein in it, right? So you'd think, okay, good, protein. But then, and I would also have nuts and some dried fruits and things like that. So I stopped with the dried fruits because, like, okay, I don't need to be eating dried things. That's got to stop. It's until I can figure out what's drying me out. I'm not going to eat dried fruits, right? And so the chocolate that I've been eating is made with cacao, so it's not raw. So I have cut that out, and now I've made my own chocolate back in the day, because you make it with with cacao, not coca. And so back to making chocolate. It's like, okay, that's fine. I mean, I enjoy doing it. I just stopped doing it for, I don't know, time-saving purposes or whatever. But so back on that. But that soy milk, I tell you, it was... I've looked it up on the internet about like soy allergies and this and that. I don't know if I have a soy allergy, but to be drinking glasses of this stuff, and it was seriously drying my skin out. So good riddance to soy milk. I don't ever want to drink another glass of soy milk. Yeah, I mean, everything in moderation, I suppose, right? I still like soy products. I like tofu, but it needs to be kept, in its place for what it's worth in my diet, for how my body works as a sensitive person. Yeah, and I tell you, within a day of stopping with the soy milk, the dryness has subsided, and then 2 days after that, I was able to scrub my skin with a loofah and with a pumice stone on my knees, because it was literally that bad. You normally never use a pumice stone anywhere but on the pads of your hands and feet. But because it was so bad, I used it on there to get rid of some of the dead skin. And my lips I'm not suffering from dryness anymore. So that is something that moving to a raw food diet has brought out. It's like, wow, you've been eating this stuff, not really realizing it, but it's been, if I'm having that kind of a reaction where it's drying me out, and yeah, it's just been awesome ever since I stopped putting that stuff in my body. And I haven't really I haven't lost anything. I'm not missing out on anything. And so, because you learn other ways, so then you drink more water, or you find some other milk if you must drink that stuff, or whatever. So that's been pretty awesome. But so I think something that I was saying about the diets and the boxes that you put yourself in, it's like, it's okay to, what is it? It's like, I just see raw food as a key. It is a key to get out of a box. It's okay to go into a box as long as you know how to get out of it. I was in a box full of pain. And so as long as you understand that when you're experiencing a lot of pain, when your body isn't healing, when you're showing signs of injury, of illness, of fatigue, it helps to have a key which you can use to unlock the door so that you can get out of that. But it's like, but then you're maybe into another box. Then you're into the raw food box. But then it's like, you don't, for myself at least, it's like I don't need to only eat raw food. I don't need to be super strict. I don't need to be anal about diet in that way. And so I can at times enjoy certain things. I do like eating short grain brown rice. I love it. I do. I love beans as well. They're a part of my diet and I really enjoy them. But it's like, when you're sick, cut that stuff out. Just eat raw food. I wouldn't say, I don't know if I'd say forget about the supplements. They supplement. So I guess that's a good thing. But raw food for the win. Another piece of it I will say is that the yoga teacher that I am going to study under, he himself, I don't know what he advocates, but he eats what is called a living food diet. So fruit and vegetables and sprouts and nuts and seeds and stuff like that. Things that have a lot of vibrancy to them, things that a lot of these things you could take them and plant them in the ground and they would create life. That's just says something. Like these lettuces, I've been buying these lettuces, and then you take the little thing and then you put it in there and it keeps growing. And I've developed a collection of these things. I'm going to stop doing it because I think it's silly. It's just too much. How carried away am I going to get with these little lettuce thingies? But, I tell you another thing too, my stomach has shrunk, where it's like, I can't even eat a massive, I have to eat the right amount. I can't make a huge salad anymore because I literally cannot put it in my stomach. I get full and it's just like, oh man, this was way too big. I wish I didn't make such a big salad. And I don't eat leftovers. I don't, something that they say as part of this yoga book that I was reading, and it's like, leftovers, chuck them, right? Fresh food, vibrancy, healthy. Make the right amount of food, know how much you need to eat and make that amount. And they even say, like, eat till you're 3/4 full, not till you're stuffed. And this is part of this balance of finding this thing, but it's huge. For myself, part of succeeding on not a raw food diet, but on a lifestyle that includes prolonged periods of eating only raw food. Like I said, the balance probably like 3, 4, a number of days of raw, a couple of days of cooked, back on the raw. embracing the raw food diet. And I mean 100% raw, right? Not like absolutely nothing that does not fall in that category. So being very strict with it because because of that whole fight or flight thing. It's like the body won't heal. It's just like, even I think that it's like with intermittent fasting, like your body is either relaxing, rejuvenating, repairing, or it's digesting. So even if you eat raw food, and when you break your fast, you stop, what's it called? You stop like hyper healing. And so that's the thing. I mean, it's like if you need to heal a lot fast, then raw food and intermittent fasting, and I don't know, some kind of a balance, like that is what is working for me. And it is just, it's a game changer. I mean, it's huge. And so now I'm going to continue with this for another couple of days. And who knows, maybe for the rest of my life. I mean, whatever it takes to be pain-free, injury-free, disease, illness-free, to be thinking clearly, have abundant energy, to be emotionally stable, whatever it takes, right? And so far, this has become a huge component. So I'm really going to this time, really start to learn some of these recipes and find some staples within it, because you need to enjoy the diet. I mean, it would be great. I know that there's this place, there's my friend at the health food store, and she told me in Comox, there's like a big community for it. So really, it would be great to have that kind of support people, and to have like a cafe that you could go to, and so that when you do feel like indulging in something, there is raw food waiting for you, prepared. Because it's just like with vegan food, a lot of places that they don't really make much of an effort. They might have certain options like restaurants and stuff like that, but they're not all that good. So it really helps people that have a passion for it. You go the extra mile as far as creating things that are really tasty and a delight, but also are not a compromise to your health. Anyway, I know this is all over the place, but that is what it is. Something too I've learned in this, just in a few days, right? So it's so for myself, with the way that with my lifestyle, supplementing with protein, absolutely. And then also once your stomach shrinks, so a smaller salad over here, but also having a good amount of nutrient dense things in there, not just too much leaves, but different nuts and seeds and things like that, and avocados, so that there is a density to it. And so and then also spreading that what is it, like over the day, because it's like if you fast in the morning and then just have lunch and dinner, for myself, that wasn't enough. I didn't feel good, and it's what I'm looking for, is to feel good. I'm looking to have all of the energy that I need to do the things that are the most important to me. And so I was like, okay, well, right now fasting doesn't make sense in the morning. That's more like if I'm going to be eating cooked food, fast in the mornings, and even lunches and stuff like that, to do like a 23-hour fast, fine. But you need some dense food and stuff like that, the cooked food. But so now it's been like, okay, I need a decent breakfast. So not just one banana and some strawberries and yogurt. It's 2 bananas. So that, because I was looking at it, it's like, holy cow, I was looking at my diet, thinking about what I'm eating, and it's like, wow, I think I'm only eating like, because if I'm eating a salad and it's got fats and nuts and seeds and stuff like that in it, and then I'm eating this banana thing, but I'm only having one banana, I'm eating like 20 calories a day. It's like that, and I was feeling fatigued. So I was like, okay, you need to start eating breakfast. You need to have more bananas and then have a lunch. So then lunch is the protein shake, 40 grams of protein in a protein shake. And then also, but today, because I like to switch it up, because too much of the same stuff, it doesn't work for me, and I don't, yeah, anyways. And so today I did a juice, which was carrot, apple, kale, because the kale is in season now. Carrot, apple, kale, beet, and a lemon, because the lemon adds this tartness to it that balances out all those flavors and stuff like that. So I made a juice. This was my juice glass. It was one of them, and it was really good. And then so not having the big protein thing every day, but still eating a very balanced meal and all this kind of stuff. And so with the juicing and with the protein shakes and with the salads, and then with learning new recipes, with going to make a vegan cheese, or not cheesecake, a vegan carrot cake, and then with the banana things, it's like, okay, I'm good, and that's why I made this video, because man, who doesn't want to be happy and healthy and feel great? And I have achieved that. And through a lot of suffering, right? Through so much pain and suffering, through so much trial and error, trials and tribulations, whatever, right? Through all of it, experimentation, research, all of it. And finally, I got something that works. At least it's working right now. And that makes me so happy. And that is why it is my joy to share this stuff in this video with you. Because if you're anything like me, if you're hypersensitive, if you're hyper energetic, if you're hyper flexible, if you're hyper intelligent, if you're hyper anything, I don't know, if your body needs to repair itself, if you're sick, if you're dealing with injury, if you're dealing with illness, it's not about, you get to that point, that precipice, that they say at the precipice, that's where people change. I reached my precipice. I got to this point where it's like, I cannot continue. A precipice is a cliff. You're like, you cannot continue in the direction that you've been moving. And so you are forced to move in another direction or experience death. For myself, it's not death, but the death of my dream to become a yoga teacher, the death of that. And it wasn't something that I was willing to do. Luckily, the universe or God or whatever has my back. And I was given all of the inspiration that I needed to walk this path. I was given, all of these experiences that I've had. They've all added up to this, and I am finally once again embracing a raw food diet, and I just could not be happier. I've told so many people, and but the thing is it takes, I've wanted to share all of this, but nobody wants to hear it all, right? I mean, they just don't have an hour to sit and listen to somebody yammer on about health and sickness and their little story and blah, 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 blah. But it brings me great joy to get this out of my head too, because I've been thinking about it and needing to make this video to externalize my experience so that I can move forward on, because I have so many other things that are on my plate. But yes, so thank you very much, and I'm out.